Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Horns Report here on KXAN Plus. I'm your host, Billy Gates, and we've got a big show for you planned today. Here to go through it all is KXAN Sports Director Roger Wallace. And Roger, before we get going into the meat of this show, a quick football update because everybody loves football. They recently landed a commitment from a 2027 quarterback from Smithson Valley, so not too far from here, down in Spring Branch. Ty Knutson, he helped lead the Rangers to a 5A Division I state championship this past year. They beat Frisco Lone Star, who, Roger, when they played Georgetown and we saw that game, they looked almost unstoppable. They beat Lone Star 28-6, so pretty good pickup for Steve Sarkisian for just kind of, moving that quarterback room forward. Obviously, they've got a kind of an embarrassment of riches right now with Arch Manning, KJ Lacey, Dia Bell, whoever else they plan on grabbing. So you can never have enough quarterbacks in your stable, I guess, is kind of what I'm getting at.
Yeah, well, because you never know when you're going to lose a quarterback or two. And we saw it this past offseason with Trey Owens, and now you got 3 scholarship quarterbacks and MJ Morris, the transfer coming in. So 4 scholarship quarterbacks. That's pretty rare in this day and age in the transfer portal era to have 4 scholarship quarterbacks on a roster. So, yeah, you get Knutson from down the road in Spring Branch, Smithson Valley. He'll play a lot of high school football against teams in Central Texas, so a chance to kind of keep an eye on him. And you always trust Sark when it comes to evaluating quarterbacks, so he sees something. The recruiting wars were not what you might expect when you look at who is offering him. South Carolina, probably the biggest program comes to mind that was in the battle, San Diego State. But again, if any position is one you trust Steve Sarkisian to evaluate, is quarterback. And again, it's that new age of recruiting where you never know where this kind of falls into the grand plan.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And just looking at some numbers from Knutson, threw for 160 yards and a touchdown for the Rangers in their win over Lone Star up there at AT&T Stadium to win the state championship. He was also on the previous year's team that won a state title, so Smithson Valley. They went back-to-back titles in 5A. They're also coming into sort of an Austin, not really Austin-based, but a new district with Austin teams in it, Roger. So we're going to see Knutson play the likes of Anderson, McCallum, Maynard, who's dropping down from 6A to 5A. So some Longhorn fans around here, we're going to have a chance to see Knutson play for the Smithson Valley Rangers. So that'll be nice for the fans to get a good look at him. I've got a story on KXAN.com about Mr. Knutson and his exploits for Smithson Valley. So you can always log on to there and read that.
Yeah, and coaches, I mean, they love winners at every position, but probably know more so than at the quarterback position. I'm sure that's a big plus for Steve Sarkisian is the fact that this guy's clearly a winner and has had success. So you put all that together, and you're down the road. You're in the 27 class, and you got your quarterback now, and things change at lightning speed in recruiting now.
Yeah, we'll see how he plays in his senior season at Smithson Valley. So good for him. Congrats to him on that commitment. That's a nice little thing to get out of the way before your final year of high school. So moving on, men's basketball, Roger, dare I say, this men's basketball team's kind of hot. 3 wins in a row. They come off of a 79-68 win over Ole Miss on Saturday. That's February 7th. A game that they were down 3 pretty late in the game, and then they rip off a 14-0 run to win by double digits against former coach Chris Beard. Pretty solid win for the guys, I'd say.
Especially the way that game went, because it appeared they might run away and hide when they got a 19-point lead, and Ole Miss, they couldn't throw it in the ocean. All of a sudden, they come out, they get it down to a workable margin at half, and then they hit their first 9 shots in the second half, and then, kind of game on. And man, how many times have we talked about a guy like Jordan Pope where he can not do much offensively and then all of a sudden hit big shots when you need it? And that was the case again on Saturday. Same goes for Sim Wilcher. He only hit 2, but he hit that big 3. That was the dagger, I think, that took him to a 7-point lead late in the ball game. But, they were a little shorthanded up front with Lucina Traore out of the lineup, so we see a little bit of Nick Cody in. But, they've got a little win streak going. over 500 in conference play. They get a week off, no game during the week.
Right.
They go to Missouri on Saturday. So, or rather, is that right?
Yeah, Saturday.
Yeah,
Yep.
Saturday.
Yep, Saturday and in Columbia.
In Columbia,
is where
that's
they're playing.
right.
Yeah,
A night game. So
Yeah.
get a little chance to rest, and I don't know if it's a good or bad thing because
Right.
they seem to be playing well.
Yeah.
But now, you start looking at projections, and they're off that last 4 in.
Sure. Yeah.
For some of the projections. But the margin for error is small, and we'll see. This will be a huge win. If they could find a way to win in Columbia, then you come home to LSU.
Mm-hmm.
Again, not saying they're going to win just because LSU's towards the bottom of the SEC, but then you can get some separation in that resume department.
I think fans have been waiting for this game for a long time from Modest Vokietaitis, the 7-footer. He shoots 9 of 10 from the field, 9 of 12 from the foul line, 27 points for the big fella. He's one of those guys. It's been just from a purely number standpoint, it's kind of been feast or famine with him. Like he either has a really good game or he's kind of in the background a little bit. But obviously, when you're a 7-footer, you can't really teach size, and he's certainly used that against the Rebels' interior defense.
Well, and he's pretty unique in the way college basketball is played now, where it's kind of outside in.
Sure, yeah.
And he's a true post player, and he's getting more moves. He sometimes he looks a little awkward, and the elbows start flying, but he gets fouled more than anybody in the country, just about.
Yeah.
And I don't see why that would stop, because you have a tendency when you have a big like that, you start grabbing and clawing, and he can sell it a little bit too.
Yeah.
He's got some of that soccer flop in him, and that certainly helps.
It's the European basketball.
That's right. But when he gets...
It's the Vlade Divac in him.
When he gets a little more, of an arsenal, and they find him, and, he's somebody that makes you kind of scratch your head, because he's pretty unique in this day and age. So, again, they did it without Dalen Swain putting him on their back.
Yeah.
And Tremont Mark, again, this team has a knack when they're playing well of hitting shots when they absolutely have to, even though they could be on a wild stretch of struggling offensively. They're one of the best offenses in the country, and sometimes I think you watch a team too closely, so you see everything and you see all the flaws and you don't step back. But look at the numbers, and they're a top 10 offense in the nation.
Yeah, and it's wild to think about, considering the struggles they've had early on, especially in this SEC schedule. But now they're starting to put it all together. So we heard from Sean Miller after the ball game, and I even included some highlights on this one. So here's a couple minutes of Sean talking about the team's win over Ole Miss, plus some highlights for you. So here you go.
Obviously a very, very exciting game, I'm sure, to watch as a fan. And I'm thrilled, really thrilled that we were able to hold on and win the game. I really credit Ole Miss. I thought the first 10, 12 minutes of the second half was as good of offense as we've seen. They made some contested twos, but they created a lot of good shots. I think they made their first 9 shots of the second half. And coming off of how we defended in the first half, it was a completely different game. So do I think we could have came out after halftime with more energy, more toughness, carrying over a lot of the good things from the first half? I do, and that's something we have to take a look at. But I do credit Ole Miss. I mean, they have to make the shots, and they made quite a few. For a while there, I didn't think they were going to miss. And then when we really needed, at the very, very end of the game, to get big stops, I think in that last 3.5, 4 minutes, we were able to get quite a few. And I credit our guys for continuing to fight. If things don't go well, at home especially, there are times when you can let like one segment of the game continue, and the next thing you know, you look at each other and say, not today. It just isn't our day. We did not do that. We rallied, and I thought the final 8 minutes of the second half was a better level for us and more indicative of maybe how we had played earlier in the game in the first half. I'll also say this, Modest coming off of South Carolina, that might have been the worst SEC individual performance he had. If you remember, he struggled down the stretch, making a few easy ones, which he never does. And I thought he let some frustration in that game affect him. We talked a lot the last couple of days about that with him. And, I mean, he played his best game of the SEC season today. He was the difference in the game. I mean, 9 for 11, 9 for 12 from the line. Again, he gets fouled. You forget how many times a guy like him can get fouled. 27 points, though. 27 points. So I thought Modest was a difference in the game. It was great to see him bounce back.
So you hear Sean gushing over Modest, which rightfully so. Great game from him. You saw that that what ended up being a 4-point play from Jordan Pope. That was kind of in kicked off that big run there in the last 2:30. You said it earlier, Roger. Like that's the kind of stuff that this team needs from a veteran guy like Jordan Pope. Brought him in from Oregon State a couple years ago, back when Rodney Terry was the coach. Definitely need more of that guard play if they want to get to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, and his value is his ability to score. Now, certainly he can do other things. But when you talk about what makes the difference between Jordan Pope and some other players, it's his offensive skills, his range, his ability to get off shots. Not a big guy, but he can shoot in rhythm. He can pull up from three on the break and things like that. He can get to the rim if he has to, but he's got to be productive offensively. And sure enough, when they absolutely needed him, he stepped up and hit some big buckets down the stretch. As you mentioned, hit the three and got fouled. Had one, a take down the left side also for a bucket. I think he hit a mid-range shot as well. So, yeah, again, this is a team. It's a pretty thin bench, and Kendall Weaver has to do what he does and provide, and he was huge, because when things start to get away from you, you need that junkyard dog to make some plays and reverse the momentum a little bit, and that's what he did. But the margin for error not great with this team. They're not going to shut teams down defensively, so they've got to be as good as they were again down the stretch offensively.
15-9 overall right now, 6-5 in the SEC. They're 11-3 at home. Obviously, the friendly confines of Moody Center, good for the Longhorns. And like we mentioned earlier, they will be taking on Missouri on Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Central tip from Columbia. Then coming back home February 17th to take on LSU, and then they'll kind of hit the last portion of their SEC schedule from there. The softball team's already playing, and Roger, they're really, really, really good.
Yeah,
they go 4-1 at the UTSA Invitational, excuse me, down in San Antonio. They lose one game to number 9 Nebraska. They had beaten them earlier in the tournament. They played Washington twice, Nebraska twice, and then the host UTSA, they played them as well. Beat Washington both games, split with the Cornhuskers, and then thumped on the Roadrunners 10-0 in a run rule shortened game. Reese Atwood who's playing a little bit of first base now these days to kind of save those knees from catching all the time. She hit 3 homers, 10 RBIs, was named the SEC Player of the Week, and her next dinger is going to put her at the top of the Texas program leaderboard in home runs with 59. She's currently tied with Taylor Hoagland with 58. Roger, I mean, we've seen her hit the past couple seasons. It's pretty incredible what she can do.
Yeah, I mean, she's, if not the best offensive player in the country, she's in a short conversation for that. And then you get Vivian Martinez back. Katie Stewart went deep a couple of times. So, the question is, they did give up some runs, trying to figure out what to do when they have to give Tegan Cavan a rest, and they got hit a little bit in San Antonio. But you take 4 out of 5, and 4 of the games are against ranked teams. Washington 25, Nebraska, you mentioned top 10. Pretty successful weekend to get started, and just kind of, all right, you get that out of the way. Now you come home, you got a big weekend starting on Thursday with Abilene Christian. I think the weather's going to be good. Should be some good crowds. It's going to be wild, because all of a sudden, just like that, we're going to have baseball and softball going up on same days on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But they'll get into it. Now they kind of have a point of reference on what they need to work on, where they go. I don't think they'll ever stop hitting.
No.
So that's the thing. You can make up for some pitching issues if you have to go deeper into your bullpen with that offensive lineup.
I mean, you look at just how, I mean, and granted, they did see Jordy Fromm from Nebraska, who's one of the best two-way players in college softball. She's a great pitcher. They got to her in that first game against Nebraska on Friday, win that 15-10. And they saw some pretty decent pitching this opening weekend down there in San Antonio. Coming up in the Bevo Classic, maybe they're not going to see that level of pitching. Like you mentioned, they got Abilene Christian on Thursday, and then Ohio State and Syracuse. They're playing 2 games against those programs Friday and Saturday, and then Northern Illinois to round out the Bevo Classic. They're on Sunday. We're going to find out how good they are at the DeMarini Invitational, Roger, when they take on Arizona and Stanford at Stanford. I think that's going to kind of give Mike White a pretty good barometer of where his team needs to be.
Yeah, I think we know they're pretty good. So
yeah.
It's just a matter of getting those games under their belt, getting the young players comfortable in different atmospheres and playing against high-level competition. And, before we know it, the SEC will be here, and we know what that's all about with all those teams. I wouldn't get too caught up in the rankings.
Right.
Probably going to drop out of the number 1 spot in some of the polls. There's so many polls. And,
sure.
Tech had a clean weekend in Louisiana, so they'll probably be number 1 in a lot of polls. But yeah. I mean, it's underway, right? You start going, then they get a lot more information in the games than they do in the last month of practices. So here we go, just kind of like what we're going to talk about with Jim Schlossnagle and the baseball team this week.
Exactly, and they're starting their season against UC Davis. They're on Friday, the 13th. That.
Supposed to be in San Diego.
Yeah, supposed to be, but
with the schedule,
right?
Schloss changed it.
Yeah,
I think we'll have some San Diego kind of weather.
It appears so. This has been the weirdest February because usually we're talking about how frigid it is, how cold it is, how miserable it is to play anything outside. Right there is still time. So yeah, the Texas baseball team, speaking of polls, there's even more polls for baseball than there's softball. They're we'll call it a consensus top 10 team.
Yeah.
I guess if that's what we want to call it. They've got a really nice mix of legacy guys that have stuck around the program for a bit, especially their pitching staff. And they've got some tremendous portal additions. And so with Schlossnagle, you kind of hope that sort of mix between those program players and those new guys coming in, especially guys like outfielder Aiden Robinson and catcher Carson Tinney. They're going to add to that offensive kind of game for Texas. It's an exciting roster at least, and we're going to see how they do against a California school, which any school from California is going to be pretty good. So even if it is the likes of UC Davis.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, baseball, you get a hot pitcher and you struggle a little bit for one reason or another, and all of a sudden you go, how in the world did they lose to UC Davis? Just go through the history. That happens early on.
Absolutely. It also happens in the regional round.
Yeah. I think the big question that everyone wants to know is how will he use Dylan Valantes?
Sure, yeah.
The All-American, who was kind of non-committal earlier in the preseason about his role. Will it be out of the bullpen again? Will it be a starter? So he's got a lot of arms. And you got to trust Max Wiener when it comes to pitching. He's one of the best in the country. So
he's proved that. Yeah,
and this is the time where they'll trot a lot of guys out there and kind of see who earns the spot, and then don't discount guys who don't, because we saw it last year. Guys that struggle early then came on to play huge roles later in the season. Yeah,
and so Texas starts their season with an 8-game homestand. Like we said, UC Davis Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Lamar from over there in Beaumont, they come over for a single game on February 17th. And then they welcome Sparty. Michigan State comes to Disch-Falk February 20, 21, 22. And then Rio Grande Valley comes up from Edinburgh on the 24th. And then they head off to the Bruce Bolt College Classic there over at Dyken Park in Houston, which is always – that tournament's always fun to go watch because there's always high-level baseball, and they get to play in a Major League Park.
No doubt, and weather won't be an issue. They're going to get some great competition, including a team that played for the national title last year in Coastal Carolina.
Yeah, they've got Coastal Carolina, Baylor, and Ohio State over there at Dyken Park, which is also a place I'm going to be to watch the World Baseball Classic on March 6th. I'm pretty pumped about that.
All right.
Pretty pumped about that. USA and Brazil. Gonna go over there with my wife and watch some baseball. I'm just happy that I picked out a person to marry who loves baseball almost as much as I do. All righty. Well, hey, we're going to end this edition of the Horns Report right here. Thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate it. And for Roger Wallace, I'm Billy Gates. We'll talk to you again very soon.